the popcorn, put on your comfiest pajamas, and grab a drink because it's time for a new episode of Sierra Unfiltered. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Sierra Unfiltered. We have easily our most requested guest.
Wow.
I'm not kidding. Carrie Dayton, the queen herself.
Hi.
We've been trying to make this happen for so long.
We have, and it's totally my fault that
Like,
it's taken this long.
Your requests are not going on like unlistening
Really,
ears.
yeah,
Like
actually.
we know that everyone wants Carrie. We want Carrie.
Wow.
We just have all been going through very busy seasons
You
of
can
life.
blame the roof rat infestation that I had in my apartment for why I wasn't able to come on until now.
Me versus Carrie. We've all just been going through really busy seasons of life. Carrie, you can blame the root rat.
I literally had rats in my ceiling and walls, so that's why I had to cancel last time.
We did for some really great content.
Oh,
It
yeah.
really did. The rat chats went off.
I miss the rat chat.
A lot of people say that, and I'm so glad you do, but I don't.
We did a podcast episode where we were like dream casting YouTubers into Broadway shows, and we were like, should we cast the rat in Carrie Dayton's attic?
I can't believe I missed that.
Like-
there were several,
like-
so there'd be a lot of dream casting.
They're
to do.
true celebrities.
Truly, actually. Yeah, we named some of them. It was
What
like
were some of
Harry
their
and
names?
Larry were like the two that were always going off. Like
Were
we
they
could
a
hear them at all
couple?
times. Not sure. Not
Okay.
sure what their preference. Like, you
TBD.
just never know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there was obviously like many children, because if you didn't know, fun fact,
Didn't.
the gestational period for a rat or a roof rat is 21 days.
I did know this because I watched all of your rat chats. So I feel like I'm very well rat educated.
I've become like kind of a rat connoisseur, if you will.
Okay.
So I've become
Maybe you should
very well versed.
make a like pivot in your content. Like you're no longer a fashion creator. You do roof rat reviews. So
Wait.
you go to you're like Mr. Kate. You like go to YouTubers' houses and then you like review their roof
I
rats.
love it.
I just had the best idea ever for a
Okay.
video on your channel. I dressed like Remy from Ratatouille for a week.
Really?
Like very on brand.
On
It's
brand.
like I like dressing.
Isn't he just
like,
naked but with a little chef hat?
Yeah.
Even better, honestly.
Like wouldn't that be much more entertaining than any other outfit to like go to Target in? Like Carrie just naked, like a chef's hat.
Being
I'm
arrested
dressed
in the
like
video.
Remy from Ratatouille. It's not nudity.
It's a costume.
It's a costume. Oh my goodness.
Or I could get a pet rat and just really like flip it on its head, you know?
Oh.
See, I love that. For
Right.
you.
Yeah, I think that's great.
I have a cat. I don't know how that would work out, but
That could be a great sitcom. It'd be like The Odd Couple, but it'd be like your rat and your cat.
Well, it would literally just be Tom and Jerry. That's the premise.
Plus
of
Carrie.
Tom and
Tom, Jerry, and Carrie.
oh my gosh, I love it. It's amazing.
Wow.
Well, we are so glad to have you here, Carrie.
I'm so glad that we've been able to sit down and have this
Yes.
chat. I feel like we're really going into this next year with some new content ideas for you.
I'm really like, I'm already taking so many mental notes. My channel's pivoting starting now.
starting now.
Your channel actually has been like exploding though. Like all
Thank
jokes
you.
aside, I feel like so happy for you. Every time I
you.
see one of your videos in my recommended tab, I'm like, yeah,
Oh
Carrie.
yeah, I like yell out loud often when I see you post videos. Like when you posted the Victoria's Secret one, I was like, bitch! Yes! Like literally just screaming alone, actually crying in my apartment by myself. Like, yeah, no,
love
so
you.
same goes for you.
We need to do one of those like photo shoot, like recreating videos together. That would be so much fun.
that
would
would be
love to.
so good. You would love Tony.
I also got this random, incredible video idea for us to do together, or maybe even like, I don't know, I had a dream that we made a song together, but like a body positive like anthem.
I'm so
And made like a
here
music
for it.
video. I was gonna wait and tell you off camera, but I'm just gonna tell you. I
No.
think that would be like so
That'd be so
incredible.
cool. That would be so cool.
Sarah
yeah,
and I have talked about this many times. What do you think if you were to become like a singer-songwriter?
Okay.
Who do you think you would sound like? Like, what would be the move? Because I feel like for Sierra, we would be going for like a Meghan Trainor, kind of like fun, poppy, bright.
Okay.
Yeah, like
kind of
I'm
thing.
not gonna be doing ballads over here. That's not
Yeah.
happening.
No, and that's not my like voice
Yeah, no.
style anyway. I have like a very kind of like specific like voice. It's like pretty, I mean, my speaking voice is very brash and loud, but my singing voice is
Same.
actually like very delicate. So actually, like, if you would have asked me this like 10 years ago, my dream growing up was to be like the female Jack Johnson. That's like all I wanted. That's all I wanted. I just wanted to like play a ukulele and sing these like, you know, very like chill islandy songs. Had never been to Hawaii until this year, but it's fine. And that was kind of like my vibe. But I feel like now, God, I don't know. Maybe like I would really try to channel like Taylor Swift in like the Reputation era.
Ooh.
Or like on her newest song from her album called The Man.
Oh,
Like I just love
that
the like
song.
I love the like I'm so sick and tired of this.
Yeah.
Like so maybe a little more like aggressive. I don't know.
An aggressive Jack Johnson.
Yes, that's my genre.
I actually love that. You know, I'm guessing a lot of people watching this probably don't know, but both Carrie and I actually are singers.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the last time you visited, we watched our old covers because we both have covers on our channel, most of which I think we both have privated.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting that we have such similarities.
Yeah.
In that we're both making similar content now, but also like 5 years ago we were both doing like covers and
Also, Sierra, I feel like you just kind of dragged me by saying that you two are singers.
Two of the people sitting here sing.
When we've been in at least like 20 shows together, Sierra just being like, so if you
so
guys
the
don't
two
know,
of us here.
Carrie and I have really great voices.
No, that's not what I meant. I meant because we're comparing our channels and our content.
Oh, okay, I get it.
But
Just like
But,
musical
okay.
theater is your job, your
Yeah.
life. Like no big deal.
Yeah, no big deal. Skylar,
I told Kyle, I was like, the thing I'm most excited for having a child is I'm literally going to convince him that like I am the greatest singer in the world.
Absolutely.
I love that.
I
I'll go
also
in
really
on it
wanted
with
to
you.
like Kyle and I have talked seriously. We're not doing it, so don't come for me in the comments. But we've talked seriously about like only talking to him in British accents so that he becomes like a little British.
I desperately need for this to happen.
I think if you guys don't do it, I think you should, like Steven and I should. But we also have really bad British accents, so he wouldn't have a British accent.
Well, that's what I
and
was
also
thinking.
he
Unless your
wouldn't be
accent's
seeing
perfect.
you, like every day, so then I feel like he would just think you guys are British. Like I don't think that's like enough of like
Maybe-
you aren't going to be teaching him to speak.
Okay, what if you have him like listen to a lot of audio, like Harry Potter audiobooks by Jim Dale,
Okay.
and so then he'll be like talking like Jim
Just like
Dale.
a little proper.
Yeah.
I mean, we do watch a lot of like Mary Berry.
So
and
he might come out
Bollywood.
like that already.
He just comes out of my room. He's a newborn. He's all, good day, governor.
Hello, mummy.
Hello, mummy.
Grab a spot of tea. All of our British listeners are like,
I hate.
Please
Click
stop.
off.
I hate all
Literally, it's so embarrassing. We're so sorry.
oh my
Yeah,
god,
they hate us right now.
Oh my gosh.
But I guess if we're talking about your little British child, what's your bump date?
Ooh, my bump date. I am 26 weeks today, which is crazy. Next week I'm in my 3rd trimester, and I'll be 7 months next week, which is nuts. Isn't that crazy? Carrie, I'm
missed your
having a
first
baby
2
in
trimesters.
January.
I literally just saw you when you weren't pregnant.
Isn't that nuts?
That is crazy.
It's nuts.
I could like cry if I let it, but
me every second of every day. We were at Disneyland like 2 days ago, and there was a meet and greet with Sadness from Inside Out, and I told Steven, I was like, I feel like that's what I look like to everyone. She was just walking around and she was like,
Also, what an interesting character to have a meet and greet with.
yeah.
Like, I would be a little concerned if my little child, I was like, who's your favorite Disney character? Like, who do you want to meet? And they were like, Sadness. Like,
I would love that for my child.
I did
I'd
a
be
meet
like,
and-
same.
I did a
Retweet.
meet and greet with Jafar as a child, and it scarred me for life. It traumatized me because I was like, "Hi," like something, and he went like through his costume.
Carrie, I don't think you know this.
What?
One of my biggest fears, if not my biggest fear in life, is Clarabelle the cow from Disneyland.
Wait.
What?
You've definitely heard this
I have
story.
not heard
Wait, but I
this
feel like this is a
story.
legit phobia. Maybe not that specific one, but like
Like Clarabelle the
mascot
cow.
type.
Yeah, mascot Disney characters coming up
But
to
why
you.
Clarabelle?
She's just terrifying. I remember they used to have like a rodeo barbecue
Yes.
thing.
Okay.
And she like came up behind me and was like trying to like dance with me or something and
Okay,
like
yeah, that's
grabbed
scary.
me and I was all, this is like, first of all, I don't want to be dancing. Like, please, like, don't. And so ever since I've been terrified of Clarabelle the cow. Like, it's like a running joke.
Well,
So I love
have
that we
a-
both have traumatic
Yeah,
incidents.
yeah. I have a little bit of like residual trauma from that, so I mean, I understand.
You in therapy,
Like literally,
working it out.
Jafar, he really like messed me up as a kid. I was like, I trusted you. I mean, I know you're a villain, but like,
trusted you.
I'm just a child.
Well, maybe you shouldn't have trusted the villain, Carrie.
Honestly, that's probably the takeaway from this story.
Oh my goodness.
Well, yeah.
So, yeah. But what were we talking about? Oh, my
Your
bump
bump
date.
date.
Oh, so I'm 26 weeks today, which I learned, that apparently he's starting to blink inside my womb. He's perceiving light. Like, when he's awake, half the time, like, his eyes are, like, blinking and open. And so, apparently, I'm not going to because I feel like that's, like, real aggressive, but if you shine a flashlight on your stomach, he'll, like, kick in that spot and, like,
wait, no, we have to do it.
Because
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I don't want to pressure her into it.
If you don't want to, but if
like,
you do, like, we want to see it.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How weird.
I had no idea.
Like, how, like, it's a little creepy to think about, like, a baby.
Yeah,
like,
trying to break out.
just, like
to
with
the
eyes
light.
wide open.
Oh,
like,
gosh.
in my womb.
Like, not yet.
Yeah. But yeah,
Wow.
so that's
So
my
crazy.
update.
That's so cool.
We're trekking along.
Aww.
I feel like it was, it was one of those things where when you told me you were pregnant, it's like I process, right, that you're pregnant. But I feel like now I'm starting to process that, like, there's going to be a baby here in, like, 2.5, 3 months.
And we don't know what he's gonna look like. We don't know what he's gonna be like.
Yeah.
So weird.
Like, I'm excited to meet him.
Same.
That is really crazy to think about, though. It's like you have this baby. You don't know this baby at all. Like, you know the baby, but you don't know what he looks like.
I know.
And there's, like, you're going to think back on a time where, like, you didn't know
Isn't
him.
that so weird? Like, they're gonna be 50% me and 50% Kyle. Like, how weird.
Which is going to be the cutest baby.
I was going to say, and also, like, just the two best people. So, like,
Yeah,
it's going to be
that's
just a
very
great
sweet.
human all around. But, wow. And you just have no idea, like, who he's going to look like.
Or, like, is he shy?
Yeah.
Is he extroverted?
Yeah.
I hope he's shy. Well, I shouldn't say I hope he's shy. I hope he's whatever he wants to be.
There you
Yes.
go. There you
But
go.
I do think that, like, sometimes Sierra and I have had conversations of Sierra being like, when I was a kid, I used to roll around in the mud and, like, da-da-da-da. And I'm like, that sounds like a lot. Like, that sounds...
My mom, my entire childhood sounds like a lot.
But you know what? That's what it is.
Well, I'm just, like, so excited for you. Like, there's so many things coming up, like the baby shower and,
I know.
like, I feel like, especially because you're due in January, it's like Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, baby. Like,
Yeah.
it's gonna come.
It's going to happen so
fast.
fast.
It's nuts.
Which, should we get into our hot takes?
Yeah.
Because I remember, so we briefly talked about our hot takes before, and I feel like your hot take kind of relates to that.
Also, I feel like I had like 2 hot takes I was just deciding between, and I feel like both of you have a lot of opinions on my hot take, so I'm going to go forward with it.
Yeah.
But I also feel like mine is for sure a lot more controversial than either of yours, so just bear with me.
But it's a
audience.
conversation starter.
But it's a conversation starter. I think as I've gotten closer and closer to having my child, and even like before I was having my child, I think I'm someone who's also very like protective about safety. Like I feel like even with Sierra, I feel like I'm always like the biggest advocate of like, let's make sure that like everything is safe and good and like, I don't know, appropriate.
Even before you were trying to conceive, you were that way.
Yeah.
Like, I remember just you taking precautions and, like, just being very aware of, like, oh, we might be trying to conceive soon, so, like, I'm not going to drink alcohol. Like,
Yeah,
you're
I'm
just
just
always,
a very, like, cautious person.
Yeah.
And also, I think that it's an interesting conversation because, like, both of you, and, like, I like to think myself included, are very into the movement of, like, becoming more real and, like, becoming more, like, Glassdoor candid on the internet. But I think that it's okay to do that for yourself because you're a consenting adult. I think that when you start to show your child in a bad light and like potentially monetize that, that's where like the line gets kind of drawn for me personally. I think that like I don't want to sound like I'm coming for any like mommy bloggers or YouTubers or anything because like to each their own, like different strokes for different folks. And also I think a lot of people do navigate it like really, really well. Like even like Mr. Kate had her baby. I feel like she's handled that perfectly. Great. He's still in videos. He's still, you know, a very public. I think he has his own Instagram.
Oh.
But like I don't think that there has been anything that I've seen where it's like, here's like a tantrum. Here's like diarrhea coming out of his diaper. Here's me talking about how like I can't handle that he's having a tantrum. I think for me, I think I still don't even know if I would post like I'm having such a hard day as a mom, this, that, and the other, because I think that I want my child to look back and think that like I enjoyed raising them. Like, I think I would feel kind of sad if I looked back in, like, my baby book, essentially, and, like, the catalog of my mom's whatever time with me, and like half of it was negative and half of it was about how she was struggling. I think that that's really cool and relatable to show that for other moms, and I think especially if you're telling it from your perspective and it's not like, because my kid threw a tantrum, I'm in a bad mood. It's like, I have breast milk all over my shirt, and like I haven't washed my hair in a week, and this, that, and the other. I think that's
like the fine line. I agree.
Yeah, I think it's the difference between being a mom is hard, and like my kid makes my life hard, and then showing why your kid is making your life hard, because I think, you know, it is hard because I'm sure it helps so many other parents out there to not feel alone, but you know, is that kid going to be embarrassed by that later in life?
And also, if you want to be real and raw about like the motherhood experience, there's so much that you can talk about. Like, you can talk about postpartum with your body. Like, that's a crazy thing.
That's like a whole,
like how insane, or breastfeeding, or like there's so many journeys that you as a mother will go through. And I just think that like, it's also how we've talked about before of like, you can take a picture and not post it on Instagram. Like, if I want to set up like a thing where every month I like take a picture of my son and it's like a beautifully lit, like aesthetic photo, like I don't have to share that. Like, that can just go in his baby
photo
book.
album, or
you know, like it's okay if you want to take a video of your kid crying because you think it's funny. I don't think it's funny, but and you just want to keep that for yourself to look back on. Like how there are VHS tapes of like me being a brat as a child. like that's fine. But I think it's hard when like you're inviting strangers to look at that content, and then also like it's really hard to scrub anything off of the internet. So like someday your child's going to be an adult, and like there are going to be pictures of them like in the bath on the internet, and I think that's like a really hard
like, even
balance.
if you just look at me and my older brother is not really on the internet at all. Like, he's not in my videos.
I don't even know what he looks like.
Yeah, lots of people don't even know I have an older brother. There are so many funny home videos of him. Like, one of my favorite ones is like him on his first birthday. Everyone starts singing and he just starts crying. And it's so funny. And he thinks it's funny. But if my mom, let's say, you know, back in the day, there had been like mom bloggers. If my mom had posted that, now my brother would be like, I don't want that on the internet. I don't want to be on the internet. But if my mom had posted something like that of me, current me would be like, that's hysterical. Yeah, keep it up. I think it's funny. But you don't know that when your child is that small, which is why, you know, Stephen and I are starting to have those conversations too about, you know, trying and starting a family. And I do want to share my journey, and I do want to share my family, but I always want to make sure it's like respectful. And that if my kid grows up and they're like, I don't want to be on the internet, there's nothing that will embarrass them. And I think it's a hard line, and I've started watching more, because I never really watched family bloggers, but I've started watching more so I can identify like where my personal lines are of like what I would want to share and what I wouldn't.
Well, and I think it really is like, I want to emphasize like different things for different people. Like I personally am not like a big fan of having your child be like such an integral part of like your brand, or like monetizing your child, or I think that there are a lot of really tricky things with like, I don't know, like even how you were saying with like the video of your older brother crying, like there aren't comments on your family home video from strangers. Like, I'm sure that a lot of the comments would have been like, haha, this is so funny. But also a lot of them would be like, as a parent, you shouldn't do this, that, and the other. Like, what a bad child. Or like, and I just don't think like it's other people's place to comment on my child. You know? And like, I just, even if it's like a really positive comment of like, oh, wow, they're so cute. Like, I also wouldn't necessarily want like a stranger, like a man in his 40s, commenting and saying my son's cute. Even if it's positive. So I think it's just kind of a tricky thing. But that's my hot take. I don't necessarily think my son will be on the internet a ton. I think that like we talk about, and obviously it'll be different once he's born and here and we see what kind of kid he is and how I feel about everything. But like I think he'll be on the vlog channel a decent amount, but in the context of like, we're all hanging out and he's here, not like he's a personality. Like, let's interview him. Let's just because that's not
he's not a consenting member of like, that channel. It's interesting to watch
other creators also make those active decisions.
Yeah.
Like I never really watched a lot of Casey Neistat videos, but I was watching an interview of him and he was talking about how like one of his daughters I think he said like 12, wants to be on his channel, and he says no because even though she's actively saying I want to do it, like in his mind she's not old enough to like understand. She can consent, but she's not old enough to understand what that entails.
Yeah.
You know, like when I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with having 12-year-olds on the internet. There's always been kids in entertainment. I just think it has to be the parent's individual choice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is also why Kenzie has a kid. I never vlog without asking. Yeah. Like we had many conversations before she gave birth of her saying like, I love when you vlog. I love having those memories. Like you can totally vlog Harlan. And I'm like, but I'm still going to ask every time I pull out the camera.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it should be a one-time consent. I don't think it should be my kid's on the internet or my kid's not. There are so many little lines and little choices to draw between.
Totally. Well, and I think, too, it's interesting when you talk about, like, Kenzie and I or people who are in other people's vlogs at the end of the day, like, I don't own the content, and it's like, I'm not the one shooting it, I'm not the one editing it.
You can't control what's seen, right?
Yeah, and so I think that, like, it's so helpful that the person whose channel it would be on would be yours, and I know that, like, you are, like, even just with me as an adult, like, you're the most respectful of, if I don't want to be on camera, you don't, like, force it. Like, you always, like, are very like articulate of like, hey, is it all right with everyone if I pull out my vlog camera? And if someone isn't all right with it, then like it's not a big deal. We don't have to vlog. But I think it is interesting when you are talking about people who maybe aren't as articulate with their friends, and it's just like their kids living on someone else's platform that they're monetizing. That I don't know. It just is a tricky thing.
Yeah, I think, and it's hard too because especially when you get into these family vloggers, like we go to a convention called Clamor, which you also went to last year, that has a lot of family channels. Yeah. And it's really interesting, like kind of observing it as an outsider.
Yeah.
And seeing like, you know, how collaborations happen. Like sometimes it's like these kids who have kids channels are friends. And so they're like, we want to make a fun video together. Yeah. And sometimes it's parents being like, you know, oh, hey, it would be great if we all made a video together. And I think from what I've observed, especially at Clamor, the families that are there are very much like concerned about safety and practicality, and it seems like they're handling it very well. And so I'm able to look at that and be like, okay, if I'm gonna have my kids on the internet, like, I mean, we went to multiple panels on like how to safely have your kids on the internet, like how to deal with family safety. And I think it's having those active conversations instead of just having that like passive consent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting for me because I'm not someone who has or maybe ever will have kids, so it's really interesting to like kind of hear opinions on the world of family vlogging and children in vlogs as someone who's just completely an outsider to it and like isn't privy to like the inside information and how like I would have never thought like how does a kid collab happen, you know? Or even really until you brought it up and until I've, you know, seen a few videos recently, would I have ever thought like maybe the kid wouldn't want that on the internet, because to me it's like I'm not in that position, so it's just so
what are your thoughts about it from an outsider?
Well, okay, so I was just trying to think when you were talking about that, because I have siblings that are much younger than me. I have a little brother who's going to be 18 and then a little brother and sister who are 16, and I was, you know, like around like 13 to 15 when they were born, so they were like babies when I was growing up, so I kind of consider them like half my siblings, like half my kids. Like change their diapers, that whole thing. I was like a live-in babysitter. It was fun. And so I was trying to like think of it from that perspective, or like for my niece or nephew, because I have never shown my niece or nephew on my channel. I think maybe I showed my niece in a vlog, but of course like asked my brother beforehand, and I have kids, I have friends with kids, and I always ask like, can I show them in the vlog, or like if not, you know, and they're all like very, same with your friend, like just very open to it, like show whatever you want. But I could totally see how like, you know, now that you bring it up, like having like you are a baby and you have like a blowout and your mom is like sharing it with like 2 million people that are like, I mean, I understand, not playing devil's advocate, but because I think that's like a cop-out. But I understand how, especially like motherhood can feel so isolating for a lot of women. And especially women who live in, like, you know, the middle of, like, Ohio or something, and they're not from a super populated area, like, they can probably feel really, like, understood and seen and related
Especially
to.
single moms or younger moms or military moms.
I was going to say military moms.
Yeah, like, they can find that community.
And so I could see how it'd be like, oh my gosh, like, my kid does the same thing, like, has a meltdown over X, Y, and Z or whatever. Yeah. But I feel like sharing it on a public platform is so different than, like, if you're in a mommy group on Facebook or if you're sharing it with your family or your friends. Like, I totally get it. Like, I agree with you, actually.
I mean, I think that there are so many things, and I think that'll probably be a whole nother podcast.
It really could.
Like, like, how do you feel about, like, hyper-filtering your kids and putting, like, super saturation on them?
I've literally seen face-tuned children.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Wait, people face-tune their kids? I have seen
face-tuned children, like, sharpened eyes, like, softened skin, like, face-tuned.
Like, there are lots of things to get into in the world.
Yeah, I've seen it in thumbnails before. Like, literal thumbnails, like, photoshopped their kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Carrie, moving on. Yeah. Okay, so my hot take is a little lighter, but also maybe equally as controversial.
Ooh, tea.
And I am of the belief that Pam from The Office kind of sucks. Like, and hear me out. So we rewatched the show recently. Like, we'll just, like, put it on when we're cooking dinner or eating or whatever. Yeah. And I was always like, PB&J for life. Like, Pam and Jim are goals. Yeah. Like, you know, whatever. And my boyfriend and I met at work, like, 10 years ago. I was dating kind of a douchey guy at the time. Like, we have a similar kind of thing. We, like, had a friendship for a long time. He watched me, like, be in relationships with these people that, like, weren't treating me well. Like, there's quite a parallel between, so I always had this, like, such a soft spot for them.
Yeah.
And then, like, after rewatching it, like, even just early on, they make it so blatantly obvious that Pam is, like, has a crush on Jim, which, whatever. But, like, if you're literally about to marry someone and you're, like, watching your, like, coworker play basketball and are like, it was just, and then, you know, and then she does, like, the whole, and, like, okay, I said this beforehand, too, like, I'm not here to tear down any woman. Pam's not a real person. She's a made-up character. I love Jenna Fisher, the actress. I think she's incredible. But she made the character so incredibly, like it feels like Pam is a real person, so she played that role so well. But, like, later on in the season, there's that whole, like, controversy of, like, did she cheat with the sound guy? And she, like, shows up at his apartment when she's, like, sad and upset to, like, talk to him about problems in her marriage, which is, like, not okay, especially if there's, like, rumors that you're I don't know. Anyways, I found her to be very manipulative. Jim was, like, trying to evolve and grow in his career and life, and then she was just unwilling to, like, grow and change with him, which is fine. You're allowed to want to stay in Scranton, Pennsylvania for the rest of your life. But I just felt some type of way when I rewatched it again and I saw Pam and I was like, Pam kind of sucks.
So, Carrie, I have to ask.
Yes. Oh, gosh.
Do you think your distaste for Pam is an act of self-hatred?
Because I'm Pam.
Because you said that you feel like you kind of are Pam.
Yeah. I didn't have, like, a crush on guys when I was engaged to be married. I was never engaged to be married.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, wait, you were engaged?
Surprise! No, I don't feel like, I feel like our situation as Jim and Pam was similar, but I don't think I'm
you're not
like Pam.
Yeah.
So here's my question.
Yes.
Because The Office is I've watched The Office 2 times through. Yeah. Like, big Office fan.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone on The Office is, like, known as a caricature of themselves. Yeah. Like, it's literally, like, I feel like, I would venture to say Pam and, like, maybe Oscar are the only two people who aren't, like, super heightened caricatures of themselves. Like, even Jim, like, all of his pranks and, like, everything is, like, so over the top. Do you think that you're able to criticize her more because she's actually kind of like a real person?
Maybe. Wow, that's really meta.
Because she doesn't really have, like, any funny
that's
quirks.
The thing is, you were saying, like, a caricature of herself, and I'm like, of what? Because she's, like, the most arguably dull character, like, on the show.
Which I feel like is why we're able to be critical of her. Because I feel like you can look at Michael Scott, and everyone's like, oh, I love Michael Scott. But also, like, he does really problematic things. Like he is like
so bad.
Like so bad, but it's so bad that it's funny.
Right.
Like I wonder if like it was a little more over the top with like the lip biting and the
maybe.
like if like maybe her character was that she like was scandalous. If like that would then be funny. But I think because it's like too real and like too like relatable and that's my...
I feel like I'm not allowed to have a real opinion because I have not watched all of The Office.
Okay.
I've watched, like, probably 30, 40 episodes, but, like, not in a row, like, individual ones. So I will abstain from this vote.
We'll circle back at it.
I mean, I don't think Pam is anyone's favorite character.
No.
But I also think that's because she's not a caricature. Like, even if you look at, like, Angela, like, who's also just, like, another, like, female character. If you look at Kelly or anyone, they're, like, so over the top.
Meredith.
And it's, like, you know. Whereas I feel like Pam is just, like...
And I think that just adds to, like... suckiness. She's so boring and like I don't know. I used to like rage when people would be like, Jim should have stayed with Karen. Like she was so much more like she was so much better for him. Blah blah blah. And I'd be like, F you. Like honestly, you don't know anything. You're an uncultured swine. And then like after watching it back again, I was like, actually they're kind of right. Like, Jim and Karen were kind of great. But I mean,
disagree on that point.
But... I will say I don't think that they should have stayed together like over him and Pam. And I will say that The Office wedding episode makes me cry every time.
Oh, a 10 out of 10.
Every time I see Michael going down the aisle like this, I literally just start sobbing.
Yeah.
Like, it's the best. So, I mean, I still have a love for them, but I'm kind of under the impression that Pam sucks a little. I'm so sorry. I can, like, literally feel the heat, like, coming from the comments.
No, I mean, I literally just went on, like, a rampage about, like, children on the internet. So, I feel like if the heat's coming, it'll come in both
ways.
ways.
We haven't gotten to my hot take yet. This might ruffle some feathers out there.
You told us your hot take, and both Carrie and I were like,
yeah.
We literally talked, we wasted 1 second talking about it, and then we're like, okay, and yours?
So my hot take. Also, I finished, we didn't do What You're Drinking. I finished my Pacifico, so that's where I'm at.
Get it.
But, yeah, so Carrie and I are drinking Pacifico. Skylar's drinking...
I'm not really drinking. Okay. There was a cranberry juice in the fridge, and it looks a little questionable.
It's a little
Carly,
sus.
you were out of the room, but it looks a little suspect. Carly, it's only filled up like this much because she's like, that's how much was left. But I think it might have like fermented or something might be happening. It's like brown.
So it's in the cup, but you're not drinking it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Carly's looking at me very concerned. Carly, it's not a drag on you. It's definitely my cranberry juice that was in there from a couple months ago.
I smelled it and it doesn't smell like cranberry juice.
So maybe Carly's trying to poison me. Conspiracy theory.
She wants to replace you.
Carly's already better than me.
She's literally like
me. Carly's like a better version of me.
No.
You're both great in different ways.
I like that
Bright
Sierra
lights.
just went quiet.
No, no, you're both great in different ways.
Sierra went,
well, I was trying to think. I'm like, I don't want to insult Carly and be like, no, you're so much better. But then I can't be like...
Carly's not here to defend herself, so I feel like we should skip
You're
past.
both bright lights.
Yeah.
Agree.
You shine bright.
Carly's just
Like a diamond.
Yes.
taller and cuter and more fashionable and like
We're not comparing.
artsier.
You know, one
and
woman's
oranges.
beauty does not discount another's.
I know. It was just a joke. But
Do you want water?
I'm okay.
Okay.
Thanks, sweet
So my
angel.
hot take, which will probably be very short because, you know, there's not much to say. Tomatoes have no place on a hamburger. So I like my hamburgers pretty plain. Like, I don't like pickle. I don't like lettuce. I don't like tomato. But I understand that lettuce and pickle, like, make sense in the flavor palette of a burger. I just prefer them
And
without.
texture.
And texture, yeah. I don't understand what's going on with the tomato.
Who wants a mealy-ass tomato slice on their burger?
It's wet. Yeah. Like, it's like sweet almost. Like, and you already have ketchup. Like, I don't need tomato. I have ketchup.
Yeah.
If I want more tomatoey taste.
Superior tomato product.
Yes,
Agreed.
exactly.
Yeah.
So please come for me in the comments. I think tomatoes are completely misplaced on a hamburger.
I 100% have your back.
Thank you. Skylar?
I mean, I agree. I don't know if I'm particularly passionate about that stance, because I think that your argument of you already have ketchup is kind of the reverse argument of it, of like, isn't, like, if you're saying that the tomato juice of condiments belongs on a hamburger, why is just a tomato so bad?
We're not getting into semantics here, okay?
Oh, gosh.
Like, I think that, like, I agree. I also would order, like, a veggie burger without a tomato on it. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't ever go out and buy one to put on my burger. But also, I don't have, like, as extreme of an opinion.
Okay.
All right.
But I'll support you in your endeavors.
Thank you. In my crusade against tomatoes.
Your crusade. Wow.
That's female empowerment.
Yeah, it is. We're taking down the patriarchy and tomatoes.
Speaking of taking down the patriarchy.
Okay.
I feel like you guys are, in my opinion, two of, like, my favorite body positive mid-size creators on the internet. Do you want to talk a little bit about, like, how your experiences have been? Because you guys are pretty much in, like, the same vertical. Like, we even on a podcast that we did with Patrick Starr, like, a month ago maybe, Sierra's hot take was that YouTube isn't a competition, and that, like, if there's someone who's doing a similar thing to you, like, that's honestly, like, logistically good for you. Like, first of all, like, if there are more eyes on YouTube, then, like, that's good for everyone. And also, like, logistically, like, you get recommended off of each other. Also, like, we should just always be supporting each other. And then Patrick brought up the argument of, like, well, but, like, are people copying other people's ideas and kind of that element of it? And Sierra actually brought up you as an example of, like, well, there's actually a creator named Carrie who, like, does very similar things to me, and I do very similar things to her, and our audience, like, loves us together. But, like, I feel like it's true that when we said that, like, you were the most requested guest on the podcast, for sure, like, everyone loves you, and we love you,
and I love all of you, and I'm going to cry, so I'm PMSing.
But like, I remember when Sierra showed me your channel for the first time, she was like, there's this girl who's doing, like, size 12 try-ons in the dressing room, and, like, she's just so sweet and so cute, and it's like I love her content, like, you need to binge watch her. And I, like, binge watched you and was like, yeah, she's great. Like, when can we meet her? Like, what is happening?
Well, and honestly, so I don't know if your viewers or my viewers know this at all, but we actually met because of our viewers.
Yeah.
Have we talked about that before? I don't even know if we have. We've, like, told people in person. But
I started getting, like, an influx of comments, like, 2 years ago of, like, oh my gosh, you need to watch Carrie Dayton. Or, like, other people who are liking this video, like, you should also watch Carrie Dayton. And I was like, and I know you're the same way. I get a couple comments like that about different creators, but it's very general. Like, I'll get one comment about a creator. I've never had, like, 30, 40 plus comments about one creator. So I was like, all right, who is this girl? And I went and watched you, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's so great. And we have such a similar experience and similar perspective. But at the end of the day, I think our content is different.
It is.
And I think that's what helps, is that, you know, we'll have some of the same ideas, but we would both execute it in a different way.
Like the same message. I agree. I have a beer burp coming on. Sorry. Just girly things. I think I totally agree. And, you know, right around when you reached out to me through DM, I had, like, within the, like, last 48 hours also discovered your content and was, like, binging it, and a lot of it had been recommended to me. So many people were like, check out Sierra, your videos are so much like Sierra's, you remind me so much of Sierra. And it was sort of like because you were a much larger creator than me, and you were just so open and inviting, and you, like, exactly like Skylar said, like, there's such a benefit. Even though we make similar content, it's executed so differently. I think people watch us and take different things, even though the message is, like, similar, the same. But we kind of preach it in a different way, and it only, like, complements the other. Well, and like, we've totally, like, I've posted a video and she's like, oh my god, I was gonna post the same thing, and I'm like, do it. Like, I would love for that to happen, and it's happened many times where like, there's a way to be I guess compared to another creator without it being a competition. And I totally agree. Like, I love when I get comments that are like, you and Sierra have helped me so much with my I like every single one. Me too. Instagram, I mean, but I will say, and I don't know if you feel the same way, but, like, I don't think that there's a video or an Instagram picture that I've posted that doesn't include you in it as well. And I love that. Like,
Aww.
people will always mention, like, you and Sierra. I mean, there's always, like, at least one comment in the bunch. And I just think it's so great. I mean, why would that be considered? Like, why? I have actually met YouTubers who have bluntly said, that person is my competition.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that just goes against, like, our feminist beliefs anyway.
Well, and even if YouTube was a competition, which it's not, like you said, we have different contents and different perspectives, but also there's no reason that people don't watch both of us. And that's actually better. And, like, from, you know, if we're getting deep in, like, YouTube analytics and the algorithm, YouTube likes when someone comes on YouTube and watches more content after they came to your video. So if someone sees your Instagram story that you posted a new video and they swipe up and they go to YouTube and then on the sidebar my video's recommended and they watch it, that's good for you. That's good for me.
Absolutely.
Like, it's beneficial to both of us just from a strictly, like, analytics perspective. And also it's beneficial in that, like, we get to talk about the same things. We have the same struggles. Like, I connect with you so much about, like, what we go through, and, you know, we'll have influxes of hate, and, you know, we even did that whole video where we tried on the same outfits because everyone was telling you, oh, you're lying about your size, you're smaller than you say you are, you just want to be plus size, and for me it was, oh, you're lying about your size, you're so much bigger than you are. And we posted that video, and it was such a cool way because I don't think I saw any comments that were like, well, they tried on different sizes or gender. It, like, shut them up.
I know, it really did. Yeah.
And it was cool. And it was a really cool opportunity for us to come together and be like, we deal with these same things from making similar content, and let's come together and make something cool about it.
Yeah. Well, and I think, too, it's cool even just from the perspective of, I think both of you, or I shouldn't say both of you, I know at least on, like, Sierra's end, and I can kind of tell on your end, I think that both of you for a while were doing videos that were titled like size 12, size 14, this, that, and the other, and really targeting like people who related to that. And I think both of you have kind of naturally tried to be more inclusive to everyone. But at the end of the day, I think that you guys are two of the biggest like mid-size creators. And I think it's really cool to have that representation on the internet.
That's sort of like why I still from time to time will say like mid-size try on haul, because I desperately needed like mid-size content when I was younger, especially in my 20s, and it just would have been so helpful. And so it's more for like analytics purposes. Like I really want those videos to be found by people that are like searching like mid-size fall outfits or whatever. It's not for me. It's not for me to try to get more clicks. It's just to try and make my videos more accessible to more people. But I agree. I have kind of like scaled back.
Well, but even like just for me, I may sound like a total idiot, but like I didn't even know that mid-size was a thing. Like,
it really wasn't.
I had never
made it up.
Like I had never heard that term before. Like
Yeah.
maybe a year ago when like you started using it on your channel, and like I was working with you, and I was like, oh, that makes so much sense, because like I've never heard the perspective of like it's hard because I'm not standard and I'm not plus, and like there is a huge group of women. Isn't the average American woman like a size 12 or 14?
It's actually 14, 16 now, and I've even read others that it's an 18. So
but I feel like that's a huge majority of the population.
Yeah.
And so it's so cool that even though you guys are making content that appeals to people who don't necessarily fall in that specific size category or aren't women or aren't whoever, that like they can come to you and relate to you.
Yeah.
Like even if you're not making a video specifically about your size, I think that like some of the struggles that you go through, I feel like resonates with people.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I think it could have gone either way. When people kept commenting to you, oh, you're so much like Sierra, and commenting to me, oh my God, you're so much like Carrie, we could have gone, oh, that's my competition. Like,
this person's a threat.
This person's a threat. They better not do that. But we didn't, and we both went the opposite way, and I think that's really cool, and I wish that more creators did that instead of saying like, oh, well, this person's... Okay, but I also think it helps that I don't think either of us ever were copying each other. Yeah. I do think there are instances of when another creator truly is copying another creator. Yeah. And then it's hard because you don't want to just be... I mean, I've had people blatantly copy my video titles word for word. Like I do the same video ideas all the time as other people, but it was literally like verbatim word for word.
So obvious. Yeah.
So obvious. And it's like...
Well, and I think the main thing when it comes to that is giving credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
I feel like literally everyone did the, like, I, like, bought the same food as the person in front of me.
Yeah.
And,
Or,
like
worst rated, whatever.
yeah, like, I mean, that's kind of what YouTube was founded on, was,
Right.
like, challenges and getting, like, having things go viral and getting views off of, like, everyone doing the same thing and having it be told from your perspective. But I think the important thing is, like, giving credit to the original person, or, you know.
Do you ever get comments on your videos? Because I get this from time to time of people being like, you didn't credit da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, I had no idea that someone else had done this video.
Like, who is that?
Yeah, I'm like, I've literally never heard of this person.
Yeah.
And I think that's when it, like, I did a recreating magazine covers and someone was like, don't act like this was your original idea. This person did this 6 months ago. And I'm like, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So it's
you
like,
can't see every video on YouTube.
Yeah, it's also hard.
It has happened a couple times where people have been like, you copied like a massive YouTuber that I'm like, well, I don't think they came up with it, but even if they did, like, if there's ever a video that I have blatantly seen someone else do, like, my friend Alexa and I went to the worst rated thrift store, like, when that trend was going around. Yeah. Like, we obviously credited, like, who we found if there was ever, like, a source from it.
But sometimes it's hard to find the source, too.
But that's a bad example because we actually didn't credit because we don't know where it came from. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm using that as, like, that trend as an example.
But when that happens, I'll usually just say, like, this trend has been going around. Yeah. And so I think there's kind of 3 levels to it. It's, like, you coming up with an original idea, and obviously you don't credit anyone because it's your idea. Taking inspiration from someone and crediting them, and then, like, there being a big trend and being like, I don't know who started this, but, like, it's a trend, and I'm gonna do it, and I'm out of my perspective.
I also think not to, like, discredit any videos that anyone's ever done, but I also feel like most of the time things that are happening on YouTube aren't, like, breaking the wheel. like both of you guys did, like, fall try-ons and, like, fall hauls because, like, you guys are both fashion channels.
Like, should I credit Bethany Moda every time I do a haul?
You know, like, I think that at a certain point it's like, yes, if it's, like, a very specific idea and you saw that video and were like, I'm going to do that because of that person. But, like, you're not going to give credit for a haul or for what, you know.
Yeah.
But
it's a tough thing. And I think in the YouTube world also, it's like there are these groups of friends. And then when you come in and you make friends who are also creators and, you know, you grow together and you learn about the business together. And there are already these, like, established cliques, and like, we went to VidCon together, and it's hard because of course people are gonna have friends. Like, I bet if someone approached us at an event, they would probably feel, you know, maybe a little bit like an outsider because we know each other so well. And it's hard because you can't expect people not to hang out with their friends, you know. But also, how do you welcome in new people? Like, I always want to be approachable. I want, if a creator, like a smaller creator, comes up to me at an event, like, I want to talk to them, and I want to be approachable, and I want to have a good dialogue with them. Yeah. But also, like, I'm going to go to the party with Carrie because I know Carrie and we're friends.
It's like a social crutch in a way, too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
How have you guys balanced that, kind of pivoting a little bit? Because I feel like you both have, like, a lot of YouTube friends. I feel like you have, like, your thrifting group of girls.
Yeah, I have several, like, little sects of, like, friends.
Yeah, and I feel like you...
Sects.
Are you saying you have sex with lots of YouTubers?
Bad word.
Carrie Dayton.
That was a bad example.
Well, but I do feel like you guys both have a lot of different YouTube friends, and I feel like you have friends that kind of, like, are together, and then you have, like, oh, I'm individually friends with Jocelyn, or I'm individually friends with Lisa, or whoever. And so how do you kind of balance, like, when you do have a bigger group of YouTube friends?
Well, VidCon is a good example because a lot of my thrifting friends decided to, well, 2 of them, a lot, so many, decided to come to VidCon, and we, like, shared rooms with them. Like, we did, like, the, like, side-by-side, like, giant sleepover, and it was a blast. And, I mean, Sierra is, like, the best person to bring to, like, a group of people that she doesn't know because she's always so welcoming, asking them questions about themselves, like, their channel, whatever's going on with them. It's not this, like, hierarchy of, like, who has the most subscribers, which, by the way, is a thing in the YouTube world. Like, when you go to events and parties, and usually at one point of the night or another, someone will ask, like, it's a form of currency. It's like, well, how many subscribers do you have?
How much time are you worth to me?
Exactly. And, you're so not that way at all. So, I mean,
thank you.
I think that you just, like, assessing people's personalities and seeing who will gel with who. Like, I could literally introduce Sierra to any of my YouTube friends and, like, know that she would find a common ground with them, because that's just Sierra and that's how she is.
Well, thank you.
It's not that way for the entire community. Like, I obviously can't speak for everyone, but yeah, just you're so good at, like, making people feel included and welcomed. And I mean, I would like to hope that I'm the same way.
You are. You really are. And that's why I have so much fun going to things like that with you, because I feel like we can, hype each other up and approach people and have good conversations and
chest bump in the middle of a YouTube party.
Of the VidCon party.
We did do that.
We did. But it's a hard thing to I think for me, when I started my YouTube channel, I made like a little group of girlfriends when we all had like 20,000 subscribers, and none of them do YouTube anymore. And so it's like I had this group of friends who I thought was, so great, and I still keep in contact with them and they're great, but like none of them do YouTube anymore.
So you can't really relate on that level.
Yeah, and so then it's like when I go to an event like VidCon, none of them are there. So like now I'm like, I have no friends. Like how do I meet new people? And then I met Carrie, and you've been so fantastic. And I feel like maybe the past year, like 2019, is when I've really started to like feel like part of the YouTube community.
I just burped again. Sorry. That was like a really sweet answer, and my burp just ruined it.
No, it amplified it. It lifted it up.
You've done such a good job, and you do the same thing. You find so many different friends and like so many different communities on YouTube, and I just really admire and respect that about you. I always try to like channel Sierra's confidence when I'm going into like an event, because she is just so great. Like, networking queen, invented networking, honestly. And I'm
Everyone
like,
credit me for networking.
And I'm like, I'm Carrie. I film videos in my bedroom, like, so I really try to like channel that a lot. But you're great at that. I think it's important to like always try to evolve and like find other people in your community. We have mutually bonded over our love for Lucy Wood like many times.
Oh my gosh, I love her.
Is a fellow mid-sized queen. She's British.
I want to reach out to her because someone commented that she's going to be at Disney World at the same time as me. You're going to be there?
Yes. Oh, I'm so
jealous. I don't know who that is.
She's leaving like she's great. Today, I think, or tomorrow.
She is a British YouTuber who does like similar content to us.
That's so cool.
And it was the same. We found Lucy the same way that we found each other. Like, people are like, "Oh, you're like the American Lucy Wood," and then I like looked her up. Aww. And it's funny because one of my YouTube friends that lives in the UK went to an event with her today, and she was like, "I literally hung out with her the entire day, and it felt like I was hanging out with you."
Aww.
Which is like the best compliment ever. Yeah, we love her. So it's other finding, like, I think it's important, what I was saying earlier is like reaching out within your community and like finding other like-minded or kind of similar creators. And she made a video recently, which we were both in, by the way, where she talked about like mid-sized YouTubers that you need to follow now. And I think some of them were Instagrammers as well. And she mentioned both of us. And she mentioned the fact that like at least once in every single video, it's like, you're the British Sierra Schulte or you're the British Carrie Dayton. And it's just so funny how like we're all kind of like mentioned that in that way.
It's hard to take it sometimes though, from that like viewers commenting to each other to like sliding into the DM. I know. And like I feel like there's like some like secret YouTube protocol where it's like, so first you like maybe follow them on Instagram, and then you like a photo, and then you comment, and then like you maybe respond to their story and are like, oh my gosh, I loved that video, or like, oh my gosh, I did that, da 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 da. And then it's like, when do you go to the point of like, we should like meet up, like, let's get coffee? Because I've had one awkward encounter that now makes me think twice about DMing someone, where like I thought that we were getting to that level. It was like someone who I watch, and like then like we liked each other's photos, and then I brought it too early of like, we should get coffee sometime, and they totally like fan zoned me. Like they were like,
it really is like dating though.
I don't know who that is.
I'll have to tell you after.
Yeah, I need to know.
But they like totally fan zoned me, and I was like, now I feel like really nervous.
Yeah, of course.
Like when I'm gonna DM another creator, because I'm like, I don't want it to be creepy. Like, I just want to, we're like coworkers, like maybe we could get lunch. And like almost all of my YouTube friendships have started from a DM.
Yeah.
I DM'd you, Jocelyn DM'd me, Lisa DM'd me. Like most of the people who I'm now friends with started that way.
Yeah.
But it's hard to know when you can like bring it to the next level of like, hey, want to hang out?
Yeah, it really is. It feels so much like dating, and that kind of rejection that you get sometimes can feel quite similar to being dumped. Like, you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. I'm so ashamed. That happened to me with a YouTuber who, it's like, it's not a big deal, but it's someone who I knew and then, like, became, like, mega famous on YouTube. And then, like, stopped responding to DMs, never responded to a text again. And it felt like I was ghosted.
Yeah.
Like, it was so sad. And it's fine. It's no big deal. Like, you know, people grow apart. And that person was obviously in, like, a very different place in their life from that point on, because it was, like, they were literally famous.
Yeah.
But it's just so interesting because you do kind of, like, walk this line of, like, okay, I'm a fan of you, actually. But, like, I also want to be your friend. So, like, how do I, like, go about this and be as cool as possible?
Right.
But, like, also, like, low-key, I'm fangirling over you because I love you and your content.
Yeah. Okay, here's a question. Have you ever pretended that you didn't know who someone was when you met them at, like, an event?
Probably.
Or been like, oh, I think I've seen a few of your videos, and low-key, you're, like, a huge fan.
Yeah, I've probably done that.
Yeah. I feel like I have done that at least a few times.
Yeah.
And it's nice when you're able to meet people in person at an event like that, because then you don't have to go through that DM, like, weird thing. Yeah. Do you feel like since moving to LA, it's been easier to meet and connect with other YouTubers?
I think because of, like, how my schedule has been since I moved to LA, with just, like, going out of town, having friends and family in town, like, always being busy. I haven't really had a lot of opportunities to, like, go out to events, meet new people. So I guess I can't really, like, speak on it yet because I've only lived there for, like, a month. But, I mean, I would hope that it would be easier. It definitely, like, geographically makes more sense. Like, there have been a lot of people that I've, like, been, you know, friends with, and we, like, it's the same thing. We like each other's Instagram posts, and we DM occasionally, but now it's, like, I'm in a geographical position to, like, hang out. So I guess, I don't know, to be continued. Yeah. How about, I mean, you go to LA a lot.
I do, yeah. And I used to go to, like, every event. Like, everything I got invited to, I would go to. And I feel like it actually kind of changed my perspective, because we were talking with Remy and Alicia. We got coffee with them. And I asked them, I was like, so, like, what would your, like, biggest piece of advice for me be? Like, I'm, you know, like, quite a few years behind you guys on where you guys are on your, like, YouTube journey. And Alicia was like, don't say yes to everything. Like, you don't have to go to every event. Like, just because a makeup brand invites you to this, like, dinner or cocktail hour, like, you don't have to go. And I think I had this idea before I had talked to them about that, of, like, I'm missing out on every opportunity. I'm throwing away my shot. Like, I have to, like, take advantage of every chance I have. And it's like, I don't. You know, sometimes it's like, and it's not always worth your time. And, like, it's exhausting and it can be a lot. And I feel like now I put more time and resources and even money, because I have to drive up to LA and, like, get a hotel usually if I want to go to something, into going to, like, conventions and workshops instead of, like, cocktail hours.
Yeah.
So we'll go to, like, a workshop at the YouTube space about, like, how to launch your merch line and, like, how to launch a podcast. And the people who are there are other people who, like, really want to talk and create. And they're not usually fashion creators. And they're not usually the kind of people who I would meet at, like, a makeup cocktail hour. But they are so awesome and they want to learn and connect, and it makes me feel part of the community. So I feel like I've stopped saying yes to so many things, which has been, like, kind of liberating.
It's something that I think comes more with age as well.
Yeah.
Like, you just kind of assess, like, does this make sense for me financially? Is it going to drain me emotionally? Like, you really start to have to, like, assess, like, a checklist, if you will, of if it's worth your time and energy or not, you know?
Yeah.
How has it been for both of you balancing that kind of, like, work-life balance? And especially, I know you guys both, like, travel a lot. Like, you guys both went to London this year. And, like, I know I had conversations with both of you about, like, whether or not you were going to make main channel videos while you were there. Because, like, it is a totally different fashion world. And, like, that does lend itself to making content. But also, it's hard when you are, like, making so much content and vlogging and dealing with, like, trying to be in the moment, like, how all that balance is. How have you kind of found that perfect middle ground?
I haven't yet. Spoiler. But I think, like, something that I'm really trying to work on actively, constantly, is the work-life balance. And just trying to make sure that at the end of the day, I'm, like, checking in with myself, because I know almost every YouTuber that I'm friends with like self-care and prioritizing your own mental health and your own needs are like very last on the list.
Yeah.
And so as far as like tying traveling into that, it's something that I'm still working on because I went on like a decent amount of trips this year and pretty much filmed content like at every one of them. Went to Seattle and I thought, oh, this would be so cool to like film an outfits video in Seattle and like have the aesthetic of like the cool grungy vibe and like, you know, show what I would wear when I was there. So maybe give other people like kind of like tips and inspiration for what they can wear like that's in a similar body type to me. Because when you go on Pinterest and look for like Seattle outfits or whatever, it's just all like a very similar body type who are all incredibly beautiful and wonderful. But if you don't fit that same like body type, it kind of feels like, well, I wouldn't wear that, or it doesn't look like how it would look on me or whatever. And I did the same thing in Hawaii, where I kind of showed my outfits for the week.
That was a cool video.
Thank you. That. And I actually did the same thing when I went there earlier this year, but it's just also such a fun way to do it. And this last trip to Hawaii was great because I went with 3 other YouTubers, so we were just like filming the entire time, but we did take very specific breaks each day where we were like, okay, no cameras, no phones, no Instagram, like let's just hang out and like enjoy Hawaii, you know, which is kind of like sad that you have to do that, but you get so caught up in your work when you do this for a job. It's always 24/7. I don't really ever like stop working, which is again something I need to work
How
on.
did you guys come up with that idea? Was it like in a group chat of someone being like...
I think I just one day was like, I know I brought it up because I'm the oldest, I'm like the mom of the group, and I was just like, I'm tired of filming, like, and I was like, hey, how about like we just put our phones away and do like a content free night or whatever, and they were like, yes, I love that. And so we like did that every single day.
That's so great.
Which was great, but also like, I don't know, it's not that commendable because it's like it should just be part of like you enjoying Hawaii. Like I've gotten comments on those videos that like, why aren't you just enjoying Hawaii? Like why are you vlogging yourself and filming your outfits and like taking all these Instagram photos when you could like just be enjoying Hawaii?
Well, and then it's hard because part of the reason why you were going was because it's your
content.
job, you know, and so it is a hard balance. And so I feel like that's what's interesting.
I really struggle with, I'm afraid that if I step back a little bit and not like take a break from YouTube, but like maybe do 1 upload a week instead of 2, but I'm also still doing the podcast and the vlog, I'm afraid that people are going to think I'm lazy. Because people don't understand how much work goes into a YouTube channel, and they see that I have Carly and Skylar and Rachel and Ricky who edit my videos, and it's like, well, if like, what do you do? Like, how are you so busy that you can't film? But I don't think people understand that, like, if I'm making 2 videos a week, I'm working like 60 plus hours a week because there's, you know, business calls, content strategy, emails on its own is like
so many,
it's like a whole job. Trying to stay on top of like trends, keeping your office updated, like going through all of these little steps that you have to do to film. And then also I even do this and I look back and I'm like, well, I used to film 2 to 3 videos a week entirely on my own, and I'm like, but the quality wasn't there, you know? And also I wasn't sleeping. And so I am moving to a place where like I would like to in the next few weeks go down to doing 1 video a week, maybe an occasional second video, but no longer like committing to that 2 videos a week. And it's funny because all YouTubers know November, December is the highest time for like ads, like you make the most money. So everyone's like, just wait till January. Like you should just wait. And I'm like, but I mentally, like I don't want to wait. Because I don't want to get to the point where I'm at like a breakdown and have to step away from YouTube altogether for like a month.
And when she says everyone, she means everyone minus Skylar and Steven.
Yeah, that's true. Skylar and Steven are like, take your break. Take it 6 months ago. Yeah. But I worry that people are going to think that I'm lazy. And that
because
also,
we're already called lazy on a regular basis.
Yeah, and like, don't get me wrong. I understand. I have a very privileged job. I get to set my hours. I get to travel. This is work. And it's so cool. And I don't take that for granted for a minute. Right. But it's still important at the end of the day, no matter how much you love your job, to have time. Like, Steven and I are going to start trying to conceive soon. I don't want to have to, like, you know, schedule in time for us. Like, I don't want us to, like, not be going on dates and not have time together to, like, continue building our relationship because I'm just throwing everything into work. But it is hard because it is that idea of like, you're in Hawaii for a trip, so like of course you have to film, or you know, you get to work from home, so it's not that hard, but you still need time for you. And I think it's hard to understand when you don't do it.
It is, and there is a constant that like sort of like voice in the back of your head that's reminding you to like prove that whole theory wrong, which I honestly cannot believe that it's almost 2020 and we're like still arguing about whether YouTube is a job or not. Like I've worked so many jobs. I've bartended, I've worked in like clubs like the YMCA, and I've worked as a nanny, and I've done all these different jobs, you know, desk jobs, like 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, like, you know, stood on my feet for 14 plus hours bartending, like, and I've never worked harder at a job than at YouTube, because like I said, the work kind of never really ends. And so, I think you're always kind of like fighting that stigma in your head, and you're still regularly getting called lazy. I had a comment on our Hawaii video that said something like, wow, I wish I could be a YouTuber and get a free trip to Hawaii. And I'm like, free? Yeah. We paid all of our own money, you know, but that's the perception. Like, we're these YouTubers, we went to Hawaii. I mean, nothing was comped, nothing was like gifted, and like we paid for literally everything with our own money, and like a portion of it is a tax write-off, sure, but it's like by no means is it a free trip, but that's the perception, like from someone who's never done it. I think I get it, like I get why it seems that way. Yeah. And so you're constantly kind of like fighting against that. But to go off what you were saying, like to go down to 1 video a week for your own mental health, it also like kind of ties into something that we've talked about previously, where you were like, you know, even though it's not like the same volume, taking that time for yourself to like reset, recharge, and like put that energy into the content that's remaining, like it makes that content even better. Yeah. Like for me, I'm posting usually 3 videos a week as well as my vlogs, and the content's been kind of lacking lately, because how can one person put out so many videos? Like, you only have so many hours in a day, you know, and you have the same hours in the day as Beyonce, or right? And
even when you do have an editor, like I've had an editor for a while, you just are getting into having an editor, you still have to review the video and send your notes and then schedule the video, and that can be, you know, 3+ hours. The on back end
stuff is a lot. Yeah,
I spent 3.5 hours organizing footage this morning. Like, I don't even edit my own videos, just going through and categorizing it. Yep. It's a lot, and I think it's hard because I don't want this to come off as complaining, because it's not. No. Like, I am so freaking grateful. I've never had work that is so fulfilling, but I've also never been so busy. And I'm happy. Yeah. I'm happy to do it, but I do think I need to take care of myself still at the end of the day.
I agree. And that's like, I'm so glad that you brought that up, because that is the work-life balance thing, because that is something that it doesn't, like, you, when you're just working so hard, it is, the last priority is yourself and like your needs. I mean, I will like lay in bed, you know, or lay on the couch or whatever, or sit at a desk and edit for like 9 hours straight, and then realize that I haven't even eaten. Yep. You know, like the basic human needs. Like, I've gotten up one time to pee and that's it. And it's like, okay, this is not like, and you feel like a trash can when you're done with that, by the way. Like, you know, you really have to actively work on it, and it's a balance.
So why do you think you don't go down to 2 videos a week?
My fear is similar to yours. Like, people will think that I'm being lazy. Like, if I can do it, why wouldn't I? But also, there is a little bit of that fear of like losing your relevancy. Like, maybe people will like watch someone else's video. Like, there's that constant, like, what do they call it? Like, hustle culture. Yeah. Which is funny, because I talked about that in a vlog this morning, where it's like, you just gotta like rise and grind, baby, and you gotta like get up, and like the early bird gets the worm, and it's like, who cares? Like, stop complaining, just like suck it up and work harder. And so it's like, you know, I think that that's probably part of it. Yeah. Is like thinking that maybe I could like, well, I could put out 3 videos a week, so why am I not? Yeah. But like, at what cost?
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's kind of like, I, as you just mentioned, have recently began like the outsourcing process, and it's sort of made me realized that, yeah, like, I could really afford to, like, scale back a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
no one needs to see me 3 times a week.
When you have your vlogs,
Like, I'm
too.
fine. Yeah,
You still have your vlogs.
I'm always there. It's fine. So going down to 2, I think, will just be better overall for everyone.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, maybe going down to 1 and, like, focusing that time and energy on that one video will make it an incredible video. You know what I mean? And not saying that your other ones aren't, but it gives you that much more time. Yeah, like, rolls over into the next.
And even for my editor, I was real quick. Carly, do you mind bringing the dogs up? We're just barking like crazy. I was talking to my editor and I was like, hey, because I really do think probably mid-November I'm gonna go down to one video a week for sure, and then that Tuesday video will be like an up in the air. I'm not saying I'm never gonna do 2 videos a week. It's just like I'm traveling for 2 weeks, and so it's easier to not pre-film that much.
Well, and also we talk about, like, we've been trying to do a lot more experimental content, or content that, like, makes you personally happy. Like, even the video you did with your little brother where you, like, ranked all the Disneyland rides.
I loved that video.
But, like, that was, like, for you personally because you found it fun.
Yeah.
And, like, obviously your audience enjoyed it, but that wasn't, like, your typical content.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't have anything to do with fashion, didn't have anything to do with, like...
Didn't do great in views, but, like,
I thought it was
care.
a vlog at first, and then I realized, like, halfway through, I was like, oh my god, this is on her main channel. That's so cool.
Yeah, and those videos will be that, like, occasional Tuesday video. But I was talking to my editor, and I was like, hey, how would you feel if I went down to 1 video a week? And she was like, honestly, that would be so great because I can put more into the edit of that one video. And I was like, I didn't even think about that. She was like, yeah, you know, I can do 2 videos a week, and I can keep doing it if you want me to. But I can put the same amount of time that I'm putting into 2 videos in 1 video and have so many of those fun little moments and take so much time for it and just make it so much better. And I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. It's not even just that I will be better. The final product will be better too.
Yeah. Well, so it's kind of circling back. How do you guys balance that with your spouses? Because you guys both have spouses that aren't super, like, camera, like, extroverted. Like, I
think Steven's a lot better than Drew at that.
I was going to say, I think Drew's better than Steven.
Really?
Yeah.
He said that he feels like he does the same thing, like the camera goes to him and he just goes, like, he doesn't know what to do, so his face just does that.
Yeah. Steven's funny because I'll get comments on the vlog. It's called Sierra and Steven IRL. Yeah. Of people being like, Steven's never on the vlogs. Like, it's all about Sierra. And I'm like, I leave it up to Steven as much as he wants to be. So if some weeks he's, like, super into it and wants to be on camera, totally. But I'm not going to put my relationship at the expense of, like, making a vlog together. So if and he's not, like you said, he is a more reserved person. So if he doesn't feel like vlogging and being on camera, that's fine. I'll vlog, and he doesn't have to do it.
I mean, I literally had a conversation with Steven 2 days ago, where he was like, do you think that Kyle secretly wants to be a YouTuber? Because, like, when I, like, when they were out at, like, the movies the other day, Kyle was, like, vlogging for them. And I was like, I honestly think he's just kind of, like, a Sierra personality. Like, he has a private Instagram where, like, only, like, 5 people follow him. Like, he's not at all, like, oh wow, wanting to be famous or wanting anything out of it. I think that he just genuinely is like, this is so fun, and like, let's whatever. But I feel like both of your guys' spouses are, like, a little more reserved and a little more, like, not apt to, like, pull out the camera in public, kind of, you know.
Yeah, I think that Drew is, like, literally the world's most supportive angel that, like, ever existed. So like, if it makes me happy, he's super down for it. And he's never, and we always, like, talk about it. I'm like, are you cool with, like, me vlogging this or whatever? But I don't think he would ever do it himself. No, like, I don't think he would ever initiate it. Actually, there have been a couple times where he was like, you should vlog this.
Steven too.
But yeah, like, and he's super supportive of me doing it, but I don't think it would ever be, like, his thing. I think he just tolerates it very well.
Yeah. Well, because I think even a lot of it, too, is, like, it is cool to have all those memories documented.
Like, we will literally some nights, like, just go back to, like, when we went to Japan and, like, rewatch. Like, we get to relive that trip all over again, and it's so special and so cool. Like, we went on this camping trip, like, right when we first started dating, and it was, like, the sweetest, cutest night ever, and we have that now to, like, look back on. And we had photos before, which is great and just fine. Yeah. But, like, it's so cool to be able to, like, vividly see. Like, we were, like, drunk. We got rained out of our tent. And we were laying in his car, like, I don't remember. It was, like, some Missy Elliott song. We were just singing, and, like, it probably shouldn't have gone on the internet. But it was just so fun, and it's so cool to be able to, like, relive that, like, vividly, you know?
Yeah, and I love that. And Steven and I, like, we vlogged our whole wedding planning process, which is really cool to go back on. Yeah. We're going to Disney World next week, and I don't think I've ever seen him so excited to vlog. He's like, we have to vlog this, we have to do that, and, like, let's bring both cameras, and, like, he's really into it, and it's cool to see him be excited about that, but I never want to push it. I never want to force it, and so if he doesn't want to be on camera, he doesn't have to be on camera, and that's fine, and I think it's difficult when... I think sometimes I feel like I have to. Like, if it's our vlog channel, like, it has to be the two of us, but it doesn't. You know?
Not at all.
It can be me for a little while. It could even be him for a little while.
Yeah.
And it's fine.
Cool.
Yeah. How do you, so one last thing about, because I feel like we've kind of talked about YouTube and being a YouTuber. Let's talk brand deals. Because we talk about this stuff off camera all the time. And I think it's so fascinating. And you were saying that you had a lot of brand deals, like, back to back
this month. Yeah.
So how has that experience been for you? Like, managing all of that, you know, trying to create content that your audience is going to love, but that is still, you know, satisfying the brand. It's a balance.
It is. It's a real balance. And it's something that, again, I'm still kind of, like, trying to perfect. I always, like, the very first thing I think of when I'm presented a brand deal is, like, does this make sense? Like, how could I... Because I think my biggest thing that I try to hold on to in my videos is the relatability. Like, I just always want to seem, like, relatable and not like I'm forcing anything, any kind of opinion or any kind of, well, some opinions, but, you know, and so that's kind of my first thought. And then I think, like, okay, well, how could I naturally, like, integrate it? And yeah, it is something that sort of, it's like a learning curve in a way, because you get presented with all of these opportunities and they're like, you know, details to follow, and you're like, yes, oh my gosh, I would love to work with this brand, I already love this product, or like it would be a great fit. And that's what happened to me this past month. And actually, like, they all fell in the same, like, the deadlines for all of them sort of fell in the same, like, 3-week period.
Wow.
And I was like, oh shit. I have to now post, like, 5 sponsored videos this month or something, which is way more than I would normally want to do. So you do kind of have to, it's like a sort of balancing act you have to work on. And I don't know. I feel like it definitely was a learning experience this month. Yeah. Because it was so stressful trying to balance just my regular content, which all of these videos were just on their own anyway. I just integrated something into all of them except the Calvin Klein video, which I did yesterday, which is very exciting.
It was so good.
Thank you. And that was just kind of a bonus thing. But yeah, it's just it was a really stressful lesson that it taught me. Was just like Alicia gave you the advice, like, you don't have to say yes to everything. Yeah. Just because something is, like, exciting and a great opportunity. Like, I think I just really need to focus more on scheduling. Yeah. Learning when it's a good opportunity for me and when it's actually going to, like, send me over the edge.
Well, and I think it's hard, and something that I've probably only learned in the past 3-4 months is just because it's a brand you love doesn't mean the video campaign is going to be right for you. Yep. I've had brands that I am obsessed with who are willing to pay, like, a big price, but they want me to do something that doesn't make sense for my audience. And I'm like, I'm cool with, like, what you're asking for. Like, I'm cool with who you are, but I can't make this video. Yeah. Like, you want me to do some, like I had a company that I love, brand that I love. They wanted me to do an animal print haul. Have you ever seen something like that? Like, it's just not, and so I'm like, they're like, oh, you know, we can change this in the contract, or we can change that, or the timeline can change. I'm like, that's not the issue. At the end of the day, I'm never going to do a brand deal that my audience isn't going to like, or I'm going to try not to, you know?
Well, and they would know. I mean, I'm your friend, but I'm also a viewer, and, like, I know that animal print, like, is not your bag. Like, you're not into it. So, like, people would know right away that this wasn't, like, an authentic. Maybe if you did it in, like a silly fun, but, like, everyone knows that you would never do that. No. Yeah. So, yeah, I agree. I think that there's definitely been times where I've turned down, like, a lot of money because either, like, the brand didn't align with my beliefs or didn't carry a range of sizes, which is a big one. Yeah. I got literally an email for a Forever 21 brand deal the other day, and I've literally done videos talking about how Forever 21 clothes don't fit my body, which is so funny. It's like, well, there's clearly a lack of
reached out to me at least like 5 times. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this. Okay. Victoria's Secret. And I'm like,
have you watched?
And also, like, every fit tee that you could ever imagine. I've literally made a video called, like, Dear Detox Tees, Stop Trying to Sponsor Me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, here's my thing. I have worked with, and I'm willing to work with brands who have made mistakes in the past. I'm okay with that. If you are making changes right now, actually making changes in your store's branding, in, like, the board of directors in your company, in the size range that you carry, I want to be part of that. That's great. If I can be part of a campaign that's going to help girls who are going shopping to feel represented, fantastic. Yeah. If Victoria's Secret made some big changes in the next few years, I would be open to it. But as it is right now, absolutely not. Same with the one, there's this one detox tea company who keeps reaching out to me to try to get them to do a skincare sponsorship because they have like a skincare line. And they're like, we're so much more than a detox tea. And I'm like, but you're still a detox tea. They
always say that. Or they're like, well, we're focused on like the wellness aspect of it. And you're like, it's literally a laxative tea. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah. So I'm not looking for, I don't need to partner with brands who are literally perfect and have never made mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
I am, like, if Forever 21 changed a bunch of things and they had such better sizing and more inclusive marketing, I'm sure you would be more open to it.
I would.
But as it stands right now, like that, it doesn't matter how much the campaign is. I'm not going to say yes.
Well, and I think kind of circling back to clarify for anyone listening, I think that like the big thing with Victoria's Secret right now is that they are rebranding and they are trying to like be more size inclusive. But I think that a lot of the times when places like that are reaching out, it's because they need a PR save.
Yeah.
Versus like we have realized like the error in our ways. Yes. We have new management. We have a new way that we're going to go about everything. I think right now, like fortunately, like body positivity is trendy.
Yeah.
I think it's like actually a really great thing that like it's trendy not to Photoshop and it's trendy to do all these things finally. Because like that's how it should have always been in my opinion. And I just feel like it's so like easy to spot when a brand is doing that authentically versus when a brand is like, we've gotten a lot of backlash. We don't want another trending Twitter moment. So we're going to use more inclusive models, but like not change our sizing at all.
Well,
like,
and for me, I want to see a brand put in the legwork first.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the PR save.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want it to be, oh, well, we partnered with this creator who does body positivity. Like, I want you to make the changes, put in the legwork, really start to change the way your company markets things.
Like regain trust.
Yeah. And then like, I'm here for it, you know, if I like the brand.
Yeah, I agree. I think the like, I don't know, there's a brand recently that like reached out. Well, okay, I'll back up. I did a video probably like a year ago on a brand that does mainly jeans. I'm not going to say who it is, but a brand that does mainly jeans, and they began offering extended sizing, but like not in store. So people were really upset because they can't like walk into a store like everyone else and like buy these jeans. And they recently, like, I think it's a perfect example. They were like, we hear you. We're sorry. Like, there was no huge backlash or like scandal of anything that happened or an employee that was like, we don't carry your size here or anything like that. But they just realized, like, wait a minute, the human beings that are in these sizes, like, they need to be able to like go to the mall and buy jeans as well. So like I thought that was a brilliant way of handling it. And they did like this big promo and they were like, we're carrying sizes like 00 to 24 in store now. Like no matter what, when you come to our store, like you can find your size. And I think that's like a brilliant way to handle it. Whereas like, you know, more of a Victoria's Secret thing. They're just kind of like, oopsies. Okay, we'll like, you know, hire one plus size model who's actually like a size 10.
Yeah.
And the one that they did hire, I think actually like, they dug up some of her old, like, really fat-phobic tweets and stuff. And so it's just like, you know. Yeah, it's messy.
So before we get into advice, one last thing about brand deals. I want to know, and then I'll say mine as well.
Yes.
What are your deal breakers on a brand deal? What is your, like...
Ooh, and then I also want to hear, what are your dream brands to work with?
Yeah.
Because I feel like let's put out, like, some positive...
Oh, I like that. Okay. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay, so
we can kind of go back and forth about deal breakers.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
I'll do one first.
Okay.
What do you think? 'Cause that's what made me think of
let's hear it.
Whenever they want you to say something verbatim, absolutely not.
It's like, check out my new blah blah blah.
If they say like you have to say this, I'm like, nope.
Yep.
Nope. If they say, here are some, like, things that we'd like to be incorporated, put them in your own words. Then I'm like, or my favorite is when I work with a brand and they'll give you that list of, like, here's so many options. Whatever you actually like about the brand, here's, like, some additional information just so that you don't, like, misspeak. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, I don't really script out my videos. So it is nice for them to be able to say, like, especially for sizing, to specifically say, like, we carry up to this size, so that I'm not just saying they carry every size, because they, you know, don't. They carry up to a certain size. Yeah. So I like when they, like, actually give you information, but then it's totally up to you.
I love that. I think that that's, like, a huge plus for me when you do get sent that, and it's like, yeah, just pick a couple things, but make sure to say it in your own words, like, stay true to your message and, like, your personality. Like, we really, like, when a brand reaches out to you and, like, really wants to kind of just, like, I guess, like, uplift your personality, or kind of just, like, add to whatever it is that you're doing, and just, like, have them be a part of it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, is really incredible for me. Yeah, like, you know, sometimes the specifics are really kind of, like, demanding and just feel really, like, disingenuous to, like, your message or who you are or how you talk. Like, I'm never gonna be like, gee golly, this tea is really incredible, and, like, you know, the things that they, like, the prompts that they give you sometimes are great. Deal breakers for me, like, always, size inclusivity is something that I look for, and I really try, especially recently, like, in the last few months, I really try to, like, do research into, like, the ethics of the company, like how these clothes are made, or, like, if they're, like, the most sustainable thing in the world or not. And it is kind of like a fine line between accessibility and sustainability. Like, you want to be able to have, like, I can't just do videos where I promote, like, these very, like, Reformation or something, you know, they're size inclusive, they have a plus size line or Anthropology or whatever, but it's not a reality for everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone in a plus size body. So that's something interesting. Another deal breaker.
A big deal breaker for me is when brands want it to seem like it's not sponsored, because I'm very, very, like, this video is sponsored. If it's Instagram, hashtag ad. And whenever brands are like, especially on Instagram, they're like, oh, could you just do, like, hashtag, like, partner instead of, like, hashtag ad? I'm like, no. I will either do hashtag. Trouble for that. It's literally against the law. And also, I love that now Instagram has the paid partnership tool, because it is so obvious. I can say paid partnership by whatever brand, but I can't tell you how many huge creators I see who don't disclose that it's sponsored. And I'm like, you gotta say it. Like, it's just...
It's illegal.
It's illegal.
I know.
So I don't like when I love when brands are like, make sure that you say... this is sponsored or this is an ad, because I'm like, cool, we're on the same page. Like,
yeah, I love when they're like, top of the description box literally say this is an ad for blah blah blah, or this is sponsored by blah blah blah. I think like a deal breaker for me is them coming into, like, you know, my space and being like, we would love to work with you, we love your content, like, we love your try-ons or whatever, we want you to film a video about, like, that's something that's completely not my content, and it's just to fit their product. Like, the video revolves around their product, and I just love and appreciate brands so much. Like, what was the brand that did the Bretman Rock campaign where he was, like, walking on the dock and he was, like, in a little, like, robe or something and a towel?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think I've seen that.
And it was so, like, authentic. I don't remember what makeup brand it was, or maybe it was, like, Pure Cosmetics or something. Yeah. It was so authentically him and, like, how he already is, and that was like the most brilliant ad I've ever seen, because it just so seamlessly fit. Like, they just let him, you can tell, like, take the reins. Yeah. And I'm sure it drove so many sales, because it's like, that's what people want to see. Yeah. Like, when they give you that creative freedom, that's a huge thing. So that's, like, a deal breaker for me, is when they try to, like, completely strip that away and they want you to create a commercial for their product.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like I've gotten so much better at choosing brand deals, because I think what people don't understand is, even, like, if I have a month where I do 3 brand deals, or like Carrie was saying, she had a month where she did a lot, that is still, like, such a small percentage of the ones that come in. Like, every brand deal that you guys see is like probably 2,000 or 3,000 emails that I turned down, you know, and like
yeah, I don't know if a lot of people know that actually.
Like they're, and then even the ones that I turn down and I say, you know, I'm not even gonna respond to this. There are some that we get deep in the negotiation process, and I decide either morally I don't align with this brand, or they're asking too much, or I don't think my audience. Sometimes we can't come to a video idea that I think would work for me, and then also sometimes their timeline is too much. I'm like, I can't make a high quality video in like 3 days. Like, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, sometimes there is like, you know, you do get sent those emails that are like, the product will be sent to you on October 17th. We expect the video by October 19th. And you're like, do you know I have a life?
And it's hard too when it's a brand that you love so much. I've had brands that I just adore, and I'm like, I have to turn this down because I can't film a good video in that amount of time.
Yeah, I need to start doing that. Because I'll be like, sure, the 17th, and then I'll have it to you by the 19th. I just won't sleep. It's okay. Like, yeah, I need to work on that more.
Do you negotiate all your own brand deals, or do you have like a manager?
So I've recently kind of acquired a manager who brings me like, I guess, additional brand deals, but I still do like, I'm like the only person on my email.
Wow,
that's
a lot.
It is.
It's a lot, and it's hard too with contracts, I bet. Because I did my own contracts for a long time, and it's hard to like, because you don't know all the legal terms, and you're like, I don't know what this means.
Thank God I have a cousin who's an attorney.
Oh, and, does he do all your contracts?
Well, sometimes I've sent her like occasional things to look over, and just been like, hey, can you like, you know, view this for me? I try not to bother her too. I'm not trying to squeeze her services out of her for free, but I have like, I also referred to her during the roof rat crisis. I was like, legally, how can we like hash this out?
Right.
But yeah, so like, luckily for that, if I have like a real question, you know, I can send it to her. But otherwise, like, yeah, it's a really kind of daunting thing, because you're like, am I being taken advantage of? And there's all this like fancy legal jargon in this contract, and it's definitely like learning experience for sure. But
yeah, well, I'm so proud of you. Like, I just love watching you grow and figure out YouTube, and you have such an important message, and that I am so like proud to be associated with you.
Thank you.
Like,
I feel the same way.
I honestly, like, I talk about you all the time of like, oh my gosh, you guys have to subscribe to my friend Carrie. Like, she's so great. Like, I just am so happy that, because the content you are creating is so important.
Thank you. And I mean, your content inspires like, you know, almost millions of people at this point, and also me, like, so much. I mean, it's been such an instrumental part of my own body confidence journey. Like, watching your Victoria's Secret video was so emotional for me, because I totally know, and that's like the thing is like, the people who are watching these videos like totally know what you're going through because they've gone through it themselves. And so for me, it's like, you're my friend, but also I just look up to you so much in that sense, and it's an absolute honor to be like in the same space as you, and be like, you know, we talked about earlier, people will say, you know, your name in almost every single one of my videos or Instagram posts, and I'm like, yes, like, I literally love it. Some people like in another universe maybe might be annoyed or something, but I think it's so great. And I mean, yeah, like I said, you know, your content is for like all of these people that you're helping, but also like for other creators and like me, you know. So and for the record, we do this when the camera's not rolling, by the way, like all the time. We'll be like, I just literally think you're so great. You're such a gem. You're such like a rare little bright light in this community. And I don't know, honestly, like, even in the last year with just navigating YouTube in general, you've helped me so much with just like back end stuff and networking, and like, you know, in every single time there's like an event or a party or something going on, you always make sure to invite me. You always make sure I'm included. You got me into the YouTube party at VidCon, which is really hard to get into.
I got you.
You got me in, even though we got like kind of yelled at.
I forgot about that. Like, yeah, that was so mean.
So mean. And so yeah, I really like appreciate and love you.
Thank you. I love you.
Let's like not cry though.
Yeah. Should we do advice?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Hey, Sarah and Skylar and Carly. I just wanted to say I love your podcast. And first things first, Skylar, I'm also an INFJ and blue and type 2. So that's pretty awesome. I feel so understood by you, which is great. My question is for kind of career advice versus pursuing your passions. I'm currently 24 and starting my career right now, and I really don't like where I'm at. I just want a more creative career, but I know sometimes that can, not earn as much money when you're first starting out. So I just wanted to see what your guys' thoughts were on when it comes to financial stability in a career versus just following your creative passions. So thanks. I love all you guys, and I look forward to hearing more of your content.
Love you. Thank you.
So nice.
That's so nice.
Sweet.
I mean, I think all of us have had to make those decisions. We've all worked jobs that we don't like. And it's so much easier said than done to just figure out what you love and find a way to get paid for it. But at the end of the day, you have to pay the bills. You have to get food on the table.
Yeah.
So what would you guys, do you want to start, Carrie?
Sure. I think, God, that's such, a fine line, I bartended and worked as a server and, dealt with people, yelling at me about their food being too cold or whatever for, I think 4 years while I was still doing YouTube, at night to try and, make it happen. And, I got lucky enough and privileged enough to have that be at a point where I could make it my full-time job, but that's not the reality for everyone. And I mean, especially in today's society with how our economy is and just how difficult it is to freaking survive out here, man. It's so hard. So I mean, obviously can't tell you what to do with your life, but make sure you're just paying your bills. Make sure you're, staying on top of that. But I don't see anything wrong with if you see a viable option, like a really sustainable way to do your passion as your job, I say go for it.
Well, and I think you can also kind of sharpen those tools and those skills that you're gonna need in the creative field that you want to go into while you're still working your day job. You can look into what careers might work for your passions. You can learn things on the internet, you can take classes, and you can try to really pinpoint those skills so that when that opportunity comes up, you're ready.
Yeah, I mean, I was in a position where I was working a full-time theater job, more than full-time. It was 80 hours a week. Jeez. And I quit that job to move up to LA because I wanted to live with Kyle. And I told him, I was I'm going to get a barista job because I want to pay my portion of rent. I want to be contributing. I don't want to just come out here and be well, until I get a lighting design job, I'm going to hang out on the couch and bum off of you. And I think it is, in my perspective, really important if you are an adult to be pulling your own weight and not just say I'm going to quit my job tomorrow because I'm unfulfilled. I think that it's really important to be fulfilled in your job, but also that's why it's important to have a work-life balance of I worked as a barista and it sucked. It was awful. The worst job I've ever had. And I've worked some bad jobs.
Oh God, I know service industry is
but at the end of the day, I was able to go out at night and do lighting design jobs for much less than I should have been paid, but it got my name out there and it led to me flying out to New York and doing a show out there. And then when I was getting off of my plane, I got an email from someone because I had worked with them previously and they had seen me post that I was coming back from New York and they were in a pinch and they needed a lighting designer. And I literally worked with that company for 3 or 4 years.
Oh, that's so cool.
Ended up being my favorite company. And after that, I was able to fully quit my job and be able to do that full time. But I think it's important to sustain
that's what I'm
to be able to pay your bills, to be able to do all the things. And if you really are passionate about having a more creative career, then to go to night school for it or to go out there and volunteer in the field that you want to be in just so people see your face. Because I think it is really tempting to either be I'm stuck in my 9 to 5 and when I get home at 5 I watch TV and that's my relaxation and I hate the first part of my day, or to be I hate it, I'm quitting, I'll figure it out. And I think, at least for me personally, I think there has to be some sort of balance.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. And I hope that you're able to find a way to turn your passion into a career.
And I think you will.
Yeah, I believe in you.
Hi, Sierra. Hi, Skylar. I'm really awkward, but I wanted to still call in and ask for some advice. So I'm going to try not to cry. I'm a senior in high school, and recently me and my boyfriend of 2 years just split up, and
I know it's not the end of the world, but I was still just wondering if you guys had any advice on how to make it any easier. Thank you. I love you guys so much.
Oh my gosh.
My
I
heart,
love
like,
you.
literally
Angel.
breaks
I
for
can
her.
like literally hear the pain in your voice, and I vividly remember that pain, and my heart just goes out to you, and I hope that you're doing better now, and hopefully we can offer some advice. But at the end of the day, like, it's okay to be sad.
Yeah.
And it will pass. I promise you. Like, I remember feeling like I could never fall in love again. It'll never happen again. And I am, I'm married. I'm so happy in my life. I'm so fulfilled in my relationship, and it did get better. And at the end of the day, as hard as those breakups can be, like, my life is ultimately better because of it.
Yeah.
Well, sorry. I stepped on you.
No.
I also think it's really hard to hear in the moment, but I think that, like, every, like, quote unquote failed relationship teaches you what you need and what you don't need in a relationship. And that's why, like, when I have a sibling who's in high school, and, like, I've talked to her about dating, and I'm like, honestly, date around. Like, have a boyfriend. Do whatever you want. Because otherwise, like, you aren't going to be in your first relationship until you're in your 20s or whatever, which is also fine. But I think it's really cool to be like, that guy was a jerk. I need to not go for that type of person. Or
I wish I had dated
deserve
more in high
better.
school.
Or,
Yeah.
And so I think high school relationships are hard because I do think that there are people who are high school sweethearts. Like, Sierra's best friend Kenzie is married to her high school sweetheart and has, like, a beautiful, wonderful life. And so I think that it's easy to slip into, like, oh, that could be us. Like, it worked for my grandparents, or it worked for this person. Like, I think, like, middle school and, like, before then, it's like, okay, we can say we're gonna get married, but, like, we know we're both 12.
We're joking. Yeah.
But when you're, like, 17 or 18, I think it's hard because you really can vividly see a future with that person.
Well, and because you can get married at 18. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it becomes more realistic because people do get married at 18.
Yeah.
It's like a very real thing. God, I, like, literally feel her pain.
Yeah.
Because I know, we all know, like, vividly what that feels like.
Yeah.
And it's such, I mean, it is a loss. It's going through a loss, and it's the most, like, soul-crushing pain there is, honestly, besides, like, the death of someone, which it is kind of a death of a relationship, you know? And it's like you see someone every single day, and then suddenly you just don't talk to them, you don't see them. It's, like, a really rude awakening, and I wish I could say that there's something other than time that's going to heal you, but ultimately it is going to be just like Sierra said, just, like, kind of, you have to sit in that pain, unfortunately, for a little bit and, like, feel it and then get through it. And there's, like, an Alanis Morissette song, I think, that's, like, the only way out is through. And it's so true. And you have to, it doesn't seem like it right now, but I promise you there will come a day where that person is, like, not even a thought in your mind anymore, which is, like, literally impossible to fathom right now.
Right.
I went through, like, one of the worst heartbreaks of my life, like, 4 years ago. And this was a person that, like, lived with their mom, didn't have a job, asked me to pay their car payment, wanted to take me on a date and took me to Chick-fil-A and then asked me to pay. Like, that type of, and I was just heartbroken over it. I was like, how could you? And now, like, fast forward to 4 years later, I'm, like, with the sweetest, most supportive, incredible partner who, supports me, uplifts me, thinks I'm wonderful, and, like, literally hung the moon. And that never would have been a possibility had I, like, not taken that time to heal and grown from it. And so, and, like, if I had ended up with that other guy. So, I think it's just time spending, like, taking that time and really, like, I think there was, like, a video that I saw that was, like, something about, like, the timeline for a breakup, and it's like, take the first week and just really, like, cry it out, watch those sad movies, eat ice cream, like, do whatever you gotta do, like, just live in that, and then maybe start to try and, like, hang out with your friends more and kind of, like, get out there and maybe eventually start dating again, which seems, like, impossible, like you said. In that moment you're like, I could never move on.
Yeah.
But I think that, like, time is gonna be your best friend.
Well, and I also think it's hard because it doesn't seem like it's a blessing. I'm sure it seems like it's the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
But, like, just me being kind of a logistical person, like if you're a senior in high school, you're about to graduate and become an adult, and like whether
that's so
that
true.
means like going to college and like not worrying about like going to the same college as them and having to deal with long distance, like, or whether that's like staying where you are or moving and like going into your career, like you now are like a free woman and like
You have
you
so
can,
much life ahead
Oh
of
my
you.
gosh.
yeah, and I feel like it'll be different and it'll be hard, but it will also be so cool and rewarding to know that like you really established your career, you found out who you were, you did all these things like on your own, and I don't know.
I totally agree. I think that it can be like a blessing in disguise in a way, and it gives you now an opportunity to like just focus on you.
Yeah.
And really like think, okay, what do I love? Like, who am I with? Because I don't know, for me anyways, in high school, I would use my high school boyfriend as like a crutch. I was like Carrie and blank, you know, and it took a lot of kind of rediscovering and being like, okay, who is Carrie without this person?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think that that's like a rare opportunity that you have, and hopefully you're okay.
Yeah.
I just want to hug you.
Do each of you guys want to give, let's each do a piece of practical advice, like
Okay.
just moment to moment, and then a little piece of advice of what you would give your high school self when you went through that.
Oh, jeez.
I'll let one of you go first.
I'll go
'cause I don't
first
know
since
what-
I asked the question.
I guess it depends on who you broke up with, but
Yeah. Practical advice, I would say, like Carrie said, if it's like a week or more, stop listening to the sad music.
Mhm.
I kept listening to All Too Well by Taylor Swift way too long.
I still listen to it.
Oh,
girl.
I still listen to it, but I'm not like, you know, I'm not mourning my high
Right,
school
right, right.
boyfriend. It's different. It's different when you're scream singing it years later because it's a great song. You know, stop letting yourself go to that place after it's been a while. And then piece of advice for myself going through that, what you think about it now, what you look back on that relationship right now when you're so sad about it is not the way it actually was. You're seeing it through these rose-colored glasses because you were mourning the loss of this relationship, but like it wasn't that great, you know? Like,
You really do tend to romanticize things, especially when you're younger.
yes. Yeah.
Because you do want to have that fairy tale of like...
And sorry,
No,
step
go
on
ahead.
you again.
No.
I completely agree with both of you, but I actually was going to give the opposite advice.
Okay.
Really?
I think some of the guys I dated weren't the best people, and we didn't have the best relationships, and like that's what it is, and I think I can see that now. But I do think like at least one person that I seriously dated, but like a lot of people that I casually dated too, like weren't bad people, and there was a reason why I was in a relationship with them and why they were my best friend for so long. And I think like having grace for like your exes, like once you get to that point of like the person who I seriously dated before Kyle, like I've run into him at parties and he like shakes Kyle's hand, we hug.
nice.
It's like all good because we both know that we're good people. We just weren't good together.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were really great best friends.
I know,
Yes.
sometimes
But
it's
like
just
we
not a
weren't meant
match.
to like
Yeah.
get married.
I
And-
think that's where
you know?
where you should draw the line is like, don't look back on the relationship with rose-colored glasses, but show grace to the person.
Yeah.
Like, you can look at the relationship and be like, well, we did fight a lot. Or like,
Yeah.
well, you know, we really didn't have a lot of the same interests.
Yeah.
But you don't have to look at them and villainize them.
Yeah. Because I think everyone's so apt, and I think a lot of guys do it especially, of like, oh, my crazy ex-girlfriend or my crazy whatever. And it's like, well, you courted them. You were like if you were in a relationship with someone for 4 years, there's a reason why. Maybe it wasn't the healthiest reason, and it definitely wasn't the healthiest relationship if it was ending. But I think that like you shouldn't villainize anyone in life, especially someone that like you did have such a connection with. So I think it's okay to be like, to give that person grace too, because they're also going through a really hard time.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally. Okay, so the practical advice that I would give is unfollow your ex on social media, block them, stop going back and looking at their photos, keeping up with what they're doing. Don't get a second Instagram to follow them or whatever the case may be. I mean, even up until like a few years ago, I would still check in on my exes because I like to torture myself. I don't know why. I think everyone does it, but you know, I would even go back and like look at the girls that I would be like jealous of during the course of our relationship, like long after the relationship ended. It's just like a weird, I don't know, we're all like a little masochistic, I think. Yeah. So that would be like my practical advice, is just like stay the hell away from them on social media. If you want to move on with your life, like don't look back. You know?
Yeah.
And then, gosh, I guess more of the kind of like sentimental advice I would give myself is sort of piggybacking off of what I said earlier, where it's like, you know, take this time as an opportunity to grow yourself. I think I was just a really codependent person when I was younger. And I think that I viewed like getting married or being in a long-term relationship with someone as like a measure for success or for like being accepted. I don't know. I think it, like, if we're getting deep here, it was like kind of tied in with like my family troubles and just feeling like maybe if I had a little family of my own, like it would be okay. And so yeah, the advice that I would give to myself is like, first of all, not every guy that you date you're going to marry, because I was that girl that said I was going to marry every boyfriend I had until I was like 25. And it was always like, we're going to get married, and I would jump right into it. And yeah, just kind of really like take that time as an opportunity to like figure out who freaking Carrie is, because I didn't figure that out until I was like 27. So like if I could go back to being 18 and worry less about whatever was going on with who I was dating at the time and more about like what was going on internally, I think I would just been a lot happier.
I love that. That's so good. All right.
Hi, it's Zoe from the Bay Area. I just wanted to ask, how do you stay so body positive even though there's so many haters and the stigma of social media in the world? Okay, I love you. Thank you.
Oh my gosh,
I
I
love
love
you,
you,
Zoe
Zoe
from the Bay. I love you, Zoe from the Bay.
Yeah, wow. Oh my god, it's like Jenny from the block.
Yeah, Zoe from the Bay.
Love that. Oh gosh. I think for me, the sooner I realized that like, and we've talked about this multiple times, like my weight and my size and however many stretch marks I have and however much cellulite I have at any given time in my life is nowhere correlated to my worth in the world. The sooner I realized that, the like, I mean, I just literally like launched myself ahead on my body positivity journey or my body confidence journey. And you know, you as a young woman are taught from a very young age that like you're kind of like currency in the world is your looks and how you present yourself and if you're desirable to like society or to men or whatever. And so I guess the haters thing, I guess I haven't really gotten that much until recently. Like, you know, people that are like, LOL, you're fat. And I'm like, well, that's not an insult. So that's fine. Thanks. So I guess, I mean, yeah, there are a lot of haters out there. I take that back. But I mean, you have to be like comfortable within yourself.
Yeah.
To be able to like, you know, go on a journey like this. But the thing that's funny is, and I don't know if you guys agree, but like body confidence and like being up on this journey is actually almost even harder than like back in the day when you used to like loathe yourself. Like there's more work involved. Yeah. But it's like so much more rewarding. I don't know. Have you found that to be the case?
Yeah. I mean, it's easier to sink into that like self-hatred.
Yeah.
You know, because
your mind just goes to it instantly.
Yeah. You know? It's harder to fight it, but you're right. It's so much more rewarding and it's so much easier on your mental health to not let yourself go to that place. I think a big thing for me too is when it's easy to say like, oh, they hate because they're jealous. Like, I feel like that's a very common thing. I don't believe that. What I think really changed my view on it is people who are hating on you because of your size also hate themselves if they were that size or because they are that size. And I am very grateful that I do not hold myself to that standard. And I'm very grateful that I show myself love in a way that they would not show themselves love if they were my size. Or maybe they are my size, especially with people on the internet, you know? Like, if they're holding me to this ridiculous standard, they're also holding themselves to probably an even higher standard, and my heart breaks for them. And I think that really changed the way that I think about people who criticize my body.
I mean, I think it's important too. We were even talking right before we started filming about like how weird would it be if you only saw yourself through the perspective of like the people who love you the most. Of like, even the other day, I think it was like on Sunday, Kyle was like super tired, so he like took a nap, and like I had just done my glucose test, and it was like a whole big thing, and I just felt like gross. It was like 90 degrees in San Diego, and I like drove up to my parents' house to drop something off for them, and I like walked in, and my mom was like, you have never looked more beautiful. Like, you are glowing. Like, like, the pregnancy glow is real. And I was like, I literally feel, like, gross and sweaty, and I would not say that I'm glowing. But, like, to her, that, like, it wasn't prodded. It wasn't like, oh, do you like my outfit? Right. It was like, I walked in, and she was like, oh my gosh, my daughter. Yeah. You know, but, like, to me, I'm, like, pregnant and tired, and I felt gross because I had my blood drawn earlier that day, and, you know, but I think that knowing that, like, no one, even in your most body positive headspace, no one is going to be a harsher critic than yourself. Like, knowing that no one really cares. Like, I didn't wear a bathing suit at the beach. I don't know if I ever have. Maybe like once this summer I did, but like I just never did growing up because I was under the impression that if I walked down the stairs at the beach, everyone would be looking at me and they would be like, who is that monster? Gross, that, you know, but in reality, no one cares what you look like when you're 12 years old and you're walking down the steps of the beach. And I think that, like, knowing that, like, the better vision or, like, the better perspective you have on, like, how beautiful you are and how kind you are and all the other things that make you a redeeming person other than your, like, aesthetic appearance, I feel like if you're your worst critic and you can improve how you feel about yourself, then, like, the world's a better place.
I agree. And I think something that kind of ties along with that is something that Jamila, who we love around here, makes so many, like, incredible just little tidbits of interviews that are just little delicious gems I love. And something that she talked about recently was, like, she was like, I don't even necessarily consider myself part of, like, a body positivity journey or movement. I'm, like, body neutral. She's like, I focus a lot less on my body and I focus more on, like, my ambitions and my goals and, like, taking the image out of it, you know, not having it entirely be just about your body and the way you present and your size and whatever. Like, I really love the idea of that. I think that that's so interesting, and, like, just taking the like aesthetics out of it or, like, the vanity out of it, you know, and just focusing on, like, I feel strong or I am really kind to people and I'm really, like, welcoming or including or whatever, and kind of focusing more on those things, I think is, like, really helpful as well.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's so interesting. This is the first we've really talked about body positivity on this podcast, which I feel like we could do a whole podcast.
Seriously, oh my gosh.
Us talking about body positivity, which you kind of were, like, the catalyst for the podcast. We did that sit down chat video on my vlog channel. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And it was, like, kind of low key, like, a tester for the podcast.
Oh, well, I'm glad that I didn't know that because I would have been very nervous.
Yeah, it went so well.
It's okay. I didn't know that either.
Yeah. No, I don't think it was a purposeful test, but I think it did. That was kind of what sparked our conversation. Was that video was so well received, and we were like, wow, wouldn't it be great if we could have these, like, long form conversations all the time? And then that's kind of how the conversation
so cool
about the podcast started.
I love that.
So I would love to have you back and do another podcast.
I would love to come back. I would love to come back every day and film this. It's so good for my soul, you know?
Is. It's just a fun opportunity because we'll turn this recorder off and we'll keep going.
Literally all night, and I'm not joking. And that's why I think that other video probably was so well received, because we just decided in the moment. Like, there was no plan. I mean, I know you said that you kind of had an idea, like, or whatever, but that's, like, in the 3 or 4 times that I've been here, that's, like, what the three of us would do. We would literally just talk about all of these same topics. And so I think because it was so organic and it came so naturally for all of us, that it was probably, like, you know, that probably conveyed on camera.
Yeah, and it's fun to get to share it with everyone else because there's no camera rolling when we're talking about that, which, you know, earlier talking about work-life balance is probably a good thing. Yeah. That we get to have those conversations and we don't share all of them.
And you don't get to know about it.
So, with that being said, follow Carrie. You can follow her on Instagram. You can follow her YouTube channel, her vlog channel. Watch all her rat videos.
Hashtag Rat Chats for Life.
Rat Chats for Life. We love Carrie so much, and we love you guys. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye. Bye.